Hello everybody, welcome to week 3 of our summer class. We are almost halfway done. Next week will be the midterm exam, and then we'll be halfway done with that. So speaking of the midterm, this week I'm going to get you some study guide materials to prepare you for what the midterm is going to be. It's going to ask you some specific questions and then some kind of broad questions about some of the readings that you've done. So I hope you've been keeping up with the readings, and when you get the study guide, you'll have a better idea of sort of what to expect for the midterm. So keep an eye out for that. Week 3, so module 3 materials are up and they're online as of Sunday night. I'm mostly making this video to tell you that and to also give you a little bit of context for the documents. The first document is about the impact of the Industrial Revolution on the city of Manchester, England, which was basically I don't know if we have like an analog, the Pittsburgh, I suppose, of England. Pittsburgh used to be like, you know, the industrial heart of the Midwest in some ways. And so Manchester was kind of the center of the Industrial Revolution in England and really in Europe overall. So Manchester goes from being a sleepy little town of a few thousand people, a couple tens of thousands of people, to exploding basically into this humongous, crowded, kind of yucky industrial center. And Shuttleworth, Kay Shuttleworth, is a politician who goes and, on behalf of the British Parliament, investigates some of the downsides to industrialization in Manchester. So that's the context for the first document, is a guy who's coming in, he's surveying the city, and he's making notes about all the different things he sees, including what's happening to working class people. So if you're wondering who this guy is, he's writing a report for the government on the impact of industrialization in England. The second document is very brief snippets from the Communist Manifesto by Marx and Engels. And if you've never read the Communist Manifesto before, I don't blame you. But it's not a very long book. It's like 70 pages or something. It's not very long, but I decided to cut down a lot of it to some of the more juicy parts. And that's what you're getting in the second document. And here, Marx and Engels are talking about the plight of the working class, not just only during the Industrial Revolution, but they're talking about the working class throughout history overall. And so they're using two terms that might be a little confusing, and they don't really explain that in the snippets of the document that I included. One is the proletariat. When you see the word proletariat, basically think working class people, or think peasants, you know, from like a pre-modern age, like basically people who have to work to make a living. So the proletariats are like the proverbial 95% of the population who have little to no property, who have to work for wages, who have to kind of worry about where their next meal is coming from. And then there's another term called the bourgeois or the bourgeoisie, and that's the upper class. They're the people who are the employers. They are the ones that collect all the profits from people's work. They're, in feudal times, they were kind of like the lords and barons and kings and the upper crust of society, the knights. And these two terms are basically how Marx and Engels look at the world. That the whole history of humanity is actually just one big class struggle between the proletariat on the bottom and the bourgeois who collect all of the profit and all of the wealth and always try and keep the poor man under their thumb. Whether you agree with that perspective or not, that's up to you. I'm not here to make communists of you all. But what's important is to look at the Communist Manifesto in context of the time it was written, because especially I found this helpful to look at the Shuttleworth Industrial Revolution report and then look at the Communist Manifesto, because they kind of go nicely together in talking about how people started thinking of working class people in a time where folks start being dependent on wage labor jobs instead of farming for the first time in human history. There's this massive shift to from the rural countryside where you kind of grow your own living, you grow crops, and you give a portion of them to your landlord, and then you eat the rest, and that's how you live, to moving from the countryside to the city and being reliant on working dangerous jobs for 14 or 16 hours a day, every single day of the week. So it's a massive shift during the Industrial Revolution and how people kind of think about, you know, is this right? Is this okay? And the Communist Manifesto is just one out of many, many documents and ideas that says, you know, maybe we can try to make life more fair for most people. So again, I don't care like what your ideology is on communism. I'm not here to preach the good news of communism. That's definitely not what I'm trying to do, but only to make us look at history through the lens of an idea that was trying to make life more fair for more people, much like the Enlightenment thinkers were trying to do, or the French revolutionaries. The whole goal is to try and improve life, and sometimes they fail pretty badly in doing that. So I'm going to try and have your stuff graded early this week. I haven't gotten to it yet because family were in town visiting and I had no time to grade. So I'm hoping I can get that turned around to you guys in the next day or two. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, keep up the good work. You guys are doing some really good work. And if you have any questions about your papers, read the comments or just contact me and I can help you out. All right, I hope you guys have a great week. See ya.